You're listening to the Rebel Scum podcast.
You are always scum. Rebel Scum.
From odds making to list rankings, we've got you covered. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
Happy New Year! It's 2021. The pandemic is over. We're here to ring in the new year with you. I'm James, that's Brock in red, and Andrew is the ghost of Christmas yet to come in black.
That's right. I got the hood and everything. I don't have a hood. I'm sorry.
No, you don't. First time forever.
I'll just point at stuff continuously.
The ShiVP fan usually has a hood. Brock, how's your new year going so far?
Pretty good. It's not 2020 anymore. That's exciting.
What shirt are you wearing anyway? Is that X-Men?
This is
Awesome.
X-Men in the style of gorillas. This is from TeePublic. Fine website. Check our stuff out there. Rebel Scum Podcast. Buy a shirt. Why not? You got that money from Christmas. Spend it on local business online.
Yeah. Besides, it's January 1st, 2021. The mosquito people have taken over. So our days are numbered. Just buy shirts.
And as we've done this is our fourth or fifth time doing it. We are ringing in the new year with our ranking Star Wars. When this started, there was 6 lists happening. Now we have 10 times that going into this year. There's about 60 lists. It was a lot of math, so I asked everybody to give me their list early. Everybody did. Some people refused because they do not rank, which is fine, but this is the definitive ranking of Star Wars. If you disagree with this list, I'm sorry, you can't until next January 1st, because this is it. This is the list that will ring us into next year. It is... I'm the only one of us who has seen this list because I had to do the math, and I'm not very good at math, so I might be way off. But it was a lot of fun to do it. The way it works is we're doing the 11 live action Star Wars theatrical movies. So the 11 live action films. So the Clone Wars animated film does not count, although now with what's going on with Mandalorian and whatnot, we might have to change this. But it's live action only, 11 films. So you got everything from A New Hope to The Rise of Skywalker is included in this list. If Brock, here's how the adding it all up worked. If you picked A New Hope as your number 1, it would receive 11 points. If Andrew, you picked it as your number 11, it would receive 1 point. So the numbers went that way, and I just added them up in that respect. So that way, no one singular list really determined this outcome. But I will say, the last 4 flip-flopped often.
Is this video going to contain some kind of list, or you just saying the names of all the people who contributed?
I'm going to say the names. Not of everybody that contributed. There's too many, but I will say the names of our YouTube friends. But our Patreon friends really helped out. They stepped up sending me messages and emails with their lists. So there's a bunch there. And I'll give a name of a bunch of our YouTube podcasting friends right here on my cell phone, because this is how we do things in 2021. No paper anymore. Around the Galaxy, Alora from Force Toast, Holo Chronicles, Pizza and Parsecs, Cam Ray, AT Chat, Scuttlebutt, Reaper Girl, Girls with Sabers, both of them. Rob from Bring the Pain, Charlie Skywalker, Star Wars in the Galaxy podcast, Lauren from Galactic Podcast, Adam Lance Garcia, and there's a whole lot more. And I am so excited to get onto this list because we usually argue.
Yeah.
Before we get started, Brock, any expectations on the definitive Star Wars list?
1 and 2 is going to be Empire or Jedi. Not in that order. Who knows? And people are going to be conflicted on Last Jedi and probably Attack of the Clones.
Okay. All right. Andrew, any expectations on your end?
I'm expecting Attack of the Clones to win because it always does. And, it deserves it. Other than that,
it says the guy you never put in number 1 on your list. And these lists are anonymous. I'm not going to tell you what everybody put because, But Andrew, you never put in number 1. You can't expect... You got to put in number 1 year.
Well, things went differently this year, didn't they? So
you never put Cody in the corner. Is what you do.
Exactly. Brock, are those new shelves? I'm just looking at your shelves. They look different.
No, you just haven't been here in a long time.
Okay.
COVID. Anyway. Huh?
COVID.
All right, you guys want to get started with number 11 on the list, but number 1 in our hearts?
Yeah.
Is it Phantom Menace?
It is not the Phantom Menace. Number 11 pains me to say, and a lot of people are going to be up. We're getting off on the wrong foot right away. People will be pissed off at this one, I suspect. But when you add it all up, this is where it lied. It is a movie called Solo, a Star Wars story, dropping to the bottom. First time I believe we've done one where Attack of the Clones was not dead last. Andrew, your wish has been granted.
Wow.
Brock, thoughts?
Can we know how many points each one got, or do you think that's too revealing?
I didn't write them down, and the book's not with me, but I could.
Okay, no worries.
We could talk about that on a podcast if you want.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Sorry,
that's fine.
I didn't do it because there were so many that I had
mean,
different papers. So yeah.
This is a democracy, and this is how it dies. No. It's everyone's entitled to their opinion, and Solo had its flaws, but that's surprising to me. I had it higher up on my list. I feel like I'm going to say that a few more times, but great flick, more adventure. I think it's something that we should revisit. But wow, the people have spoken.
Andrew, you hate this movie, so tell us your thoughts. I'm just joking. You don't hate it, but just your thoughts.
I'm shocked. I've been hearing a lot of Solo hate lately, and I thought the general consensus was that it's underrated.
General consensus.
Yeah. Major problem. I think that, where did I have it? I had it number 9, so I had it pretty low, but I think it's the kind of movie that got better every time I watched it. Once I got over the fact that the crawl was weird and the whole last name thing, I was just able to enjoy it more, and I'm just like, wow, this is so much fun. I don't think it deserves that last place. I really don't, but I guess them's the breaks.
Well, so you've said this before. Something's got to be last.
Yeah, something's got to be.
And
last.
I think, and you guys know, I love Solo, and I think honestly, when you look at it, it wasn't actually last on a lot of lists. It was just low on the majority of the lists, and so it's. I think especially when you have the Mandalorian now, it really, and this, Brock kind of mentioned this about Rogue Squadron coming up. It's like, what makes this better than the Mandalorian, or separates a theatrical film from like a TV show? Do you know what I mean? Like where's that right there? So the discrepancy, and it's not a saga film either, right?
Don't make this a Sophie's Choice, man. Like, how dare you try to like switch it up with Mandalorian? That is a whole new echelon. That's a new era.
No, I know. I'm just saying though, when you have something like that, they feel like they belong together. Like Solo belongs as a Disney Plus series, is what I'm saying.
I mean, I guess it's sort of the comparison is that it's not a Jedi-driven project, even though there are Jedi in both. But like, I think we're looking more at the everyday man, even though you could say any character is an everyday man. So. Yeah, I can see a comparison, but how dare you? I'm
not comparing anyway. I'm just saying that I really think Solo would have flourished as a Disney Plus series, but obviously that wasn't a concept back then. And I love Solo; it was way higher on my list. It was number 1. Screw all you. It wasn't.
Wow, you had it as your number 1, huh?
No, it wasn't.
I thought we were gonna stay positive.
It was. I was positive. I didn't say anything negative.
You just said screw all you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm positive with the movies, but no, it wasn't actually my number 1. It was higher up though. I think it was 4 or 5 of them. I did 3 lists, and I only had 1.
Holy cow!
Well, yeah, it changes every day. My number 10, the number 10 on the definitive ranking list. Should come as no surprise. It's Attack of the Clones. Typically this is the last place one since day 1, but now it's moved up a notch. So Andrew, you are, me and you are 2 of the 5 people that like this movie. Tell me what you think of its placement here.
It still boggles my mind. I think I say this every year. I don't know what movie you people are watching where you're like, yeah, this is the worst one. This one with the grandest adventure, the most sweeping scope, the biggest fight. Like, yeah, this is the worst one. I really don't understand. I was talking to Robin, our buddy Robin Williams, not the dead one, another one. He was saying, he's like, I just this just the other day. He's like, yeah, I just started rewatching the movies. He says I haven't seen the prequels since like they came out, and he goes, man, Attack of the Clones is friggin' great. And I'm like, what have I been telling you for 2 decades? This was my number one. I had enough of it not being number one, and I stopped and I thought, and I'm like, you know what? There's never a bigger smile on my face than the Coliseum. So I'm putting it in number one. It just has to go there. And there you go. You're all wrong.
Well, Andrew, I think you should be satisfied because you're getting Hayden Christensen back as Vader in an Obi-Wan, where he can say awesome lines by, I hate sand, and I killed them all. The men, the women, and the children. I know I did that wrong, but whatever. Yeah, I like it. I just, somebody's got to be at the bottom. It wasn't my last one.
No, it wasn't. That was the thing. It was high up on a lot of people's list and last on more than higher, but not as much as usual. There's prequel love showing up. I also put it as number one on mine. Because you know what? It is. I've said, you know what? I was on the Around the Galaxy podcast, and I think I said Phantom Menace was my favorite at that point. But at one point I said Attack of the Clones, and I've said this. Brock, I've been saying it on the show forever. When I think of Star Wars, for some reason, my mind goes to Attack of the Clones, the chase on Coruscant at the beginning with Zam, Whistle, and all that. That's where my mind goes when I think of Star Wars. And if that's where my mind's going when I think of Star Wars, for these lists, which they're just for fun, I'm going to have to do that, especially knowing that everybody else is going low. It's that if I think that's what Star Wars is in my mind, that's got to be my number one, Star Wars. But Return of the Jedi is really number one. All right, here we go. And you guys good? We go to number 9?
Mm-hmm.
Number 9. This is where it gets interesting. Who saw this one happening? The Phantom Menace. Number 9 is the Phantom Menace.
Wow.
Why are you saying wow?
Because I've seen The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Where did I put it? I think I might have had it. I had it at number 8, so it's not far off. Pod racing is going to come back in a big way, and everybody's going to cheer. That's all I got to say. Every time in the future, every time they're going to announce something like Jar Jar's back in this book or pod racing is back in this TV show, people will cheer. The same people who put Phantom Menace last will cheer. I promise.
I could criticize anything about the prequels, but like, I think you're right. Like, there's a lot of people that are excited that Hayden Christensen is coming back. I don't mean to bring it up again, but like, there's something there. So give everything time, and people change their mind. People didn't like Empire at first, so here we are.
Yeah, Phantom Menace is always high on my list. Everyone knows I absolutely love that movie. So I don't need to talk about it. It's low. One day I would like to see it higher. I think honestly, as the generation, we don't get a lot of the rankings aren't from the generation that grew up with the Phantom Menace. So I gotta get into those like 20-year-olds and get their rankings. Okay, this is where it really gets interesting.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back, number 8. It gets really weird here. The next 3 were pretty close. And it's funny. I didn't put this together what they were until last night. So number 8 is The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi is number 8. It was number 1 on quite a few, and it was number 11 on quite a few more. But the majority after the first, like I said, the first 10, the majority after that, it was middle to low, is where I came in, middle to low. So it started off strong. It was like a season of a sports season. It started off strong, and then it kind of just lost momentum as it went. And I will say the last, like, well, I shouldn't say the last 7, because the last few really kind of changed the bottom there, but at one point, it was below Phantom Menace, and then the last few kind of kicked it back up. So it had its second wind, but it was a strange race for Last Jedi. I honestly did it. I thought it was going to end up 5th, to be completely honest with you. When I started doing the adding, that's where it felt. But 8th is where it is. Brock?
I mean, I guess it still lives in that land of divisiveness where it's just like, I don't know. So it's a shock. I think I put it at my number 4. But, maybe time will tell on this one too. The Mandalorian, I don't mean to bring it up again, but like it's doing the Lord's work where it's making all these things a little bit more important. It's the glue. So maybe by the time we're done season 4 Mandalorian, like that could change. I don't know.
Andrew?
Well, the way you just described how the rankings had it, James, like it sounds like the definition of divisive, where you were like, yeah, some people had it first, some people had it 11th, and a lot of people had it scattered through the middle. It's like, okay, so this movie's all over the place. It was my number 2. Nestled snugly under Attack of the Clones there. I think that people still need space from this movie. People who were hurt by it need space from it to sort of let it stand on its own, and then they can sort of judge it more objectively. But I mean, it is what it is. The Last Jedi has been talked about so much, and that's just a can of worms I don't feel like opening. But
yeah,
I
think people are sick of not even the movie, just the aura around the movie. It's like people are just tired of that. Before Rise of Skywalker came out, I watched it like 8 times, and I loved it. But I think it's that, and I think what Brock was saying to your point about the Mandalorian is these projects that are coming out now. The one thing that the sequels had going against it almost was that 20-30 years between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, where there's all this story that we are not aware of. So the Force Awakens picks up, and you're like, there's this gap, right? We've never experienced that before. Sure, New Hope is number 4, but there was no gap because nothing existed. So I think that's it. And now, though, there's an opportunity for them to come in and put these stories together, not just in books and comics, but in visual form on television, which will push them up and maybe, I don't know, flesh them out a little bit more for people. But again, I think it's more the aura around The Last Jedi than the movie itself. So the next 2 were neck and neck, and they were basically in the middle of most people's, although the one that, it was weird because the one on top of it was actually lower on more. But anyway, math is math. Number 7 is The Force Awakens. It's my donut, my sprinkled donut. It tastes really good. Look, I mean, the reality is 7, 6, 5 are middle. Like, that's the middle.
Yeah.
For me, I think Force Awakens is fine there. It's a donut. It tastes really good. I like Finn. You guys are silent. Andrew, what do you think?
This one matches up with me. I had it at number 7, right on the nose, and I like Finn too. He's a cool guy. This movie really did kind of open the floodgates of my imagination. That's what it did. It was like, Star Wars is back, Andrew. Look, here's colors and lights and lightsabers, and I was like, yes. And I always have fun when I revisit it. And even though it is a very sort of par for the course, safe Star Wars film, it did what it needed to do to bring the franchise back and remind people why it's popular in the first place. And in terms of like being a Kickstarter for the new era, I think that they did that job, and they did it with gusto. And you can see the love there, and you can see the world building hasn't gone away. Even though they played it safe, the world building didn't go away. And I think that's what I love most about Force Awakens is it gave us so much more of this beautiful, beautiful galaxy to play in that I was just that much more eager to dive back into it.
I'm surprised it's lower than Rise of Skywalker. Both excellent movies, both really give off that J.J. Abrams style, but I think just Rise of Skywalker, though it's probably a little bit more exciting of a film, is just sort of like, it's all over the place, and it's like, I don't know. Like, I guess like Force Awakens, if it wasn't the first one, then perhaps we'd have a more critical spin on it, because it's the first one back in the series of trilogies. So it's like, oh my god, after 20 years of nothing. So it's like, yes, we love whatever this is. Like, but the thing about, like, we almost like, we never talk about Maz Kanata anymore. It's just like, and now again, Mandalorian. It's like we're barely talking about these characters that are in it. We love these characters, Finn, Rey, Poe. They're great characters, but like now we live in this era of like you can make good stuff, and it doesn't even have to be a movie. And it's sort of like, wow, perhaps like if Mandalorian could be on this list, it would blow all of these movies out of the water, quite frankly.
Wow. So Rob sent me his first list, and it was Mandalorian 1 through 11.
But yeah, it's just sort of, I think Rise of Skywalker is interesting, and it gives us, we know what it is. Rise of Skywalker has this whole red herring. That's right, red herring of the Emperor, where it's just like he's a good villain, and the conclusion is nice, but like it doesn't make sense. At least with The Force Awakens, it's sort of like, here's your cast of characters, here's your problem. I would argue that Snoke is more engaging as a villain than the Emperor Palpatine. I know that's ludicrous because it's the Emperor, but you know what I mean? It, as one standalone stories. So I'm a little surprised, but the people have spoken.
I wish the 1 year we didn't do this was the year The Force Awakens came out, and I'd be really curious to see where it would have dropped that year. And actually, I want to kind of go back to our first one when it would have been Rogue One coming out, because Force Awakens was so fresh, and I don't think people had turned on it quite at that point. No, I think, look, when The Force Awakens came out, Andrew met up with me and he says, I think Rey's a Palpatine. And I was like, that's dumb. And, and of course, that ends up being, the thing is, if she was the Palpatine, they should have just dropped freaking Emperor right away. The one thing with this whole sequel trilogy, which is what I was saying to your point earlier about Mandalorian and all these other shows, is there was no purpose for these movies at all when they came out, other than, hey, we're going to revive Star Wars and make money. It's because why is there a First Order? Why is there a Snoke? Why are all these things? And there was no answer, and we were never given an answer. And the great thing now is we're getting these answers, and that's what I love. And The Mandalorian has already kind of put that in. And again, that's just 30 years of, you know, empty slate that they can go in and fill. And so I'm really hoping that with all these Disney Plus things, they really, you know, these movies really get enhanced by those. And I'm really looking forward to the kids today who grew up watching these ones, where they would rank in 20 years from now on their lists, because that's really what counts. That's, you know, what we think. Who cares?
Yeah, the kids are looking at it in a different way than we are. Like, to us, Force Awakens was like going on a date after having not dated anybody in like 10 years, and be like, oh yeah, this is what a date is like. This is fun. I miss this. And but to the kids, it's a whole other thing. And I was talking to my cousin last night, and I said, like, dude, when your kids are like in their 20s, you know, their mindset is going to be like, yeah, Star Wars, there's those weird old people with the 70s hair. That wasn't for me, but like Rey was awesome. I want to see Rey again. And the cycle's just going to keep going.
Speaking of Rey, what number are we on? 6. We're on 6, and that's Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens were very close. I think they were a point apart. Very close. I think the one thing Rise of Skywalker really has going for it, above all the other sequels, is it builds towards something, whether you like it or not. It goes somewhere and it ends. But one thing for me with The Rise of Skywalker that I will always appreciate was when I watched it with my nieces and nephew for the first time, and the imagination that it sparked within them. They were playing lightsabers for like 2 days after that. My niece wanted to be Rey. That's what Star Wars is all about, the imagination of the kids. So Rise of Skywalker, just above The Force Awakens at number 6. It was basically middle of the road in everybody's list. I think it was number 1 on 2. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, didn't we pretty much review Rise of Skywalker on the last one?
Yeah, we did.
So.
All right. Anything you want to add?
I think Last Jedi should still be higher than both those films. because it tries to do something. Right.
Well, I think they all. I mean, look, the thing is, they all try to do something. Yeah. It just depends on how you feel about what they're trying to accomplish, right?
It's just like upper management does it just like, yeah, that's a good idea, and then it's like, we're gonna go back to the old way. I'm like, cool. I'm glad we.
But yeah, the one thing with the Last Jedi though is it works without consequence because it leaves everything up to that last chapter, and when you leave the last chapter up to somebody who made the first chapter who wants to finish what they did in the first chapter, that's where all the issues are lying on this whole sequel trilogy. Is just, we'll worry about Kanata next. Nah, she's got a jetpack. Like that was the thing. It's like nobody accountability for your actions. Anyway, Andrew, anything you want to add to Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, I put this one last, last place. Something's got to be last. I mean, I don't hate it because I can't hate a Star Wars movie. I just can't. It's like hating a pizza party. You take me to a pizza party, even if the pizza is not the greatest pizza, if it's a little bit stale and it seems like they didn't cook it properly, I'm gonna have a good time at the pizza party. All I'll say, because I want to keep this as positive as possible, is there's a book that every writer pretty much should read called Save the Cat, where it teaches you how to write screenplays the right way. And in Save the Cat, they tell you, you get little cue cards and you plot out your story beats with cue cards and you make a board, and that way you always have a roadmap. Professionals should always have a roadmap. And that's all I'm going to say.
I think this movie, you change the crawl, you cut out 10 minutes, you have a stronger film. Number 5, I'm not even joking. Number 5. Okay, wait. Can you guys take a guess at number 5? Because now we're in the meat of it. This is like this is where it counts. What do you guys? Just take a guess, Brock. Number 5.
I'm just trying to remember what's left.
Do you want me to tell you what's left? I won't tell you because I'll probably say it in like the right in the order.
The original trilogy, Rogue One,
and Revenge.
Oh, Revenge. I forgot about Revenge. Wow. Please tell me it's Revenge is number 5.
Andrew, what do you think?
Is it A New Hope?
It is A New Hope. New Hope,
wow.
number 5.
Wow.
Again, though, this one and number 4 are very close. And the thing with A New Hope is it was basically in this spot through most of it. Like 4 or 5 is where it dropped on a lot of lists. I think. I can't remember. I don't have them in front of me because there were so many. But anyway, 4 or 5. 5 is A New Hope, the original Star Wars, which I think I say this every year when it is actually the best of them. It's never my number 1, but it is probably the best movie. It's the only one that stands on its own without needing anything to accompany it. It does everything it needs to do. It is such a straightforward, fun, save the princess ride. It can't be beat. Unfortunately, 4 other ones beat it on this ranking list. Andrew, your thoughts on A New Hope?
Where did I put A New Hope? I think it's close to this. I put it at number 6.
Yeah, so you ruined it, actually. It was number 1, and then you put it and it dropped.
Yeah, my bad. This is my fault. I mean, Aunt Beru, greatest character in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Not the actress, though.
Not well, she got mixed up with some bad folks. But I mean, it's A New Hope. Like, what goes wrong? Who complains about New Hope?
But I think that's
even the day and age of people hating Star Wars just because it has the word Star Wars in it. Who complains about A New Hope? Nobody.
Well, I think that's exactly why it is where it is. It's the one that's just kind of like even keel, Brock.
I mean, we go through this every year where we always get to this point where we're like, oh, yeah. Like, it's sort of like you don't want to disrespect it, but you're like, you still have to invite your grandparents even when they embarrass you. No, it's not really the same comparison, but like, yeah, it's just this whole list is on what you would like to watch, which ones you think of the most when you're Star Wars and what you want to watch. So it's sort of like, it's interesting that, I mean, I'm blown away by Revenge of the Sith. So, I mean, I'm sure there's an argument for it, but like, I was just like, wow. So, kudos to a prequel breaking the top 5.
You know what makes me curious? I wonder if anybody would take the same amount of people that you talked to, James, and do a ranking Marvel. I wonder how many people would put Iron Man 1 in the top spot.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, not a lot, I would say.
How many of those movies are there? You have that thing. How many Marvel movies are there?
There's 23.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I honestly, I also believe that if I said tomorrow, if we said, hey, let's do another ranking, and we went to the same people, I'll bet you we'd have a different list.
Oh yeah,
probably
tomorrow. Yeah, it just this is just for fun, and it doesn't mean anything, but this is definitive, so whatever. call your politicians. So A New Hope. I don't know. I mean, it's great, but is it? Yeah, exactly. It's like Brock said, is it the one that you go to watch Star Wars? Honestly, I don't know. It's great. Number 4 is Revenge of the Sith. It was number 1 on quite a few lists. It was never last. It was either 1 or middle, I believe, on the majority of them. I'm sure it was lower than on some. But it's there. People love Revenge of the Sith, and I think the more and more like younger fans, as they mature and they get older, as they get older, that this is like their Star Wars. 2005. This was a lot of people's Star Wars moment. It does have, in my opinion, one of the coolest Star Wars moments: Vader's mask being lowered onto his head. That split second aside, like in the theater, it was like that was such a great moment. And the silence and the breathing, which is so iconic to Star Wars as a whole. So number 4 is Revenge of the Sith. Andrew.
Yeah, Revenge was number 10 for me. It's always pretty low for me. Anakin, I can't watch anymore. I still don't know why that's better than Attack of the Clones. But I mean, this is still a rip-roaring good time. It has Grievous in it, so yes. It has the opera in it, so yes. It has Obi-Wan being probably peak Obi-Wan, and that's saying something because Obi-Wan's almost always peak, but this is for me peak Obi-Wan. The iconic look for Anakin. It's probably the most visually beautiful Star Wars, period.
Brock's still heartbroken that it beat A New Hope.
Yeah, I don't know. It's usually my highest prequel on the list. It's not a terrible movie, and I'm a big fan of the Clone Wars show, so it's like,
yeah,
those movies have to exist for those shows to really work. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think similar to The Rise of Skywalker, in terms to all the prequels, it's the one that ultimately heads where it has to head. So,
well, here's one thing I will say, and the fans and contributors on this can drag me all they want. The last 4 episodes of Clone Wars Season 7 are better than this movie. Come at me.
But there is
it needs the movie.
Exactly. That can't exist without
still
this.
Better.
So
still more emotionally charged and like.
But you're getting
that's how you.
I think it's Star Wars though, so it all works as one, so it doesn't matter. All right, here we go. Top 3 time. This is exciting stuff. We're in the top 3. Will there be a change at number 1? I'll tell you which movie it will not be. Our number 3, Rogue One.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah,
I thought that was going to be number 1 for some reason.
You know what? It was number 1 on quite a few, but again, it was high on a lot of people's lists, and I think, Brock, this one I think you can fairly compare it to The Mandalorian. I think they both kind of live in that kind of like separate from Star Wars, but still very much Star Wars time period.
Yeah, I think the only thing bad about it is it's like, oh, well, these characters are about to die for a good purpose, and then like, I mean, the Darth Vader scene in this movie is amazing, and then it leads into Princess Leia, and then it's seconds before A New Hope happens. So it's like, it's just a well-made movie, and it's just like, ooh, it was one of the first steps of like, what if we did something like this with Star Wars, which is what allows Mandalorian to be what it is. Great flick. I wish they could make more with these characters. We are, I guess, with Cassian, so excited for that. Yeah, it's well deserved. I think it'll always be in the top 5 going forward unless the future of Star Wars movies change.
Well, yeah, when you got Patty Jenkins and Taika Waititi coming in, who knows what those two will offer us? But Andrew,
yeah, I put it at number 5, and I think that's probably too low. It's been a minute. It's been a hot minute since I watched it, so I will go back and look at it again and be like, what am I missing? Because I know there's more greatness here. But I mean, I love this, and I love the score that Michael Giacchino gave us. That guy can do. He doesn't get enough credit for how magic his scores are. As far as I'm concerned, he is the next John Williams, and he has been for me since he did the score for Lost and blew me away with that.
Prep and landing, buddy. Prep and
landing. Jurassic World. He works so much, that guy. And I mean, to top it all off, you've got just this story that has been looked to since this movie came out. People have sort of looked to this as a gold standard for modern Star Wars. I feel like the general consensus is that when a new announcement is made, like, oh, we're doing this project, it's coming soon, everybody sort of points at the Rogue One poster and is like, make it like that. And by the way, Hasbro, I'm still waiting for the Bodhi Rook Black Series. Like, what are you doing? Why are you leaving off a member of the team? What's wrong with you?
They didn't make, that's weird.
Relax, Jar Jar's coming out.
Yeah, true. Jar Jar's coming out.
Is he really?
Yeah,
he is. Yeah,
I need that one.
He's got the shield and everything. It's gonna be great.
Oh my God, amazing.
Rogue One is masterfully done. It's gorgeous. I will defend the Tarkin CGI to my dying breath because I think it's still the best special effect these eyes have seen their whole life.
Do people challenge that? Like, it is arguably the best CG character they put in.
I would say, aside from like us, I've never heard somebody not challenge it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that was really good.
I was surprised they had him in the movie as much as they did. But I'm with you. I'm fine with it. I mean, it's it's a deceased actor that they brought back. Like, what? I don't know what you expect, and you compare him to the Revenge of the Sith Tarkin and give me the cartoon Tarkin any day of the week. I'm fine with that. I mean, and I think Tarkin being like that allows for Luke and Leia in Rise of Skywalker and allows for Luke in Mandalorian as well. The way they did it, where you're not completely sold, but it's also like, well, this is where we are. And that's it. That's where we are on those. So I think it kind of, and Leia also at the end of Rogue One, it allows for those to happen.
And it's only a matter of time now till we get CGI Emperor finally.
Rogue One, I don't love Rogue One. I think everyone's looking forward to the Cassian Andor show. Anyway,
do you guys think that Rogue Squadron will feel like a Rogue One sequel?
No.
Or like a sequel in the sense of like how, Alien Covenant was a Prometheus sequel.
You know what you're saying. One thing I've been saying with Rogue Squadron, I brought this up earlier, is I'm confused how it will feel theatrical versus all these amazing shows that have been announced. Like, what's going to be the barrier there? And Rogue One, as I think about it, and I mentioned Solo earlier, how Solo would have fit so well on Disney Plus. Rogue One still feels like a theatrical film. There's something about it that's like, no, this has to be in the theater. So Rogue Squadron, you could be onto something with that. I don't know though.
It just feels like the rule is every Disney Plus show, maybe with the exception of The Acolyte, because we don't know High Republic yet, but every other Disney Plus show, the rule is it exists because of a foundation that a movie already set. So what kind of foundation is Rogue Squadron setting? That's what I want. What plant is it planting to give us these branches that will become other media? Like, what is that story that's so important where they're like, Patty, we need you to take the reins and make the movie? You don't know? I thought they told you these things.
I don't know anything. I hope to find out soon.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't hate the idea if it connects with Rogue One in a way. but like I think it has to be separate. And it's also someone said to me, "It's like, so what's gonna happen after Return of the Jedi, right?" I'm like, that doesn't really make sense because they're making Rangers of the New Republic, which might be more of a cop show, but like is too much in the same vein. If you got like X-wing pilots like bringing justice, like if that's what Rangers of the New Republic is, it's too similar. So I would perhaps this is a way to get a little bit more on our original cast somehow. Like obviously it'd be more, if anything, Luke being mentioned in that movie if it's during the rebellion. So
I'm hoping it's after the sequels.
Oh, interesting. I never thought of that.
Yeah, because one thing the Lego holiday especially reminded me of was how much I really, really enjoy Finn, Rey, and Poe. Mm-hmm. Really enjoy those characters. And not that they would be in this show, but also that time period. Like we've got, like you just said, bro, we have the Mandalorian, we have the Rangers of the New Republic. We've lived in this post Return of the Jedi. Now move on from there. We're going to get 400 years before that. But just go after what happens after. I don't know what happens after, so take it after and show me a story that takes place after. And then if you want to throw in Poe Dameron for Brock, you could throw in Poe Dameron. But you can have those kind. Well, he's not a main character, but he just kind of weaves in and out of the story. I think Oscar Isaac's the kind of guy who would be like, yeah, Star Wars, let's go, Uncle, you're coming. He would do it. That's what I'm kind of hoping is it's not after Jedi, it's after the sequels.
Yeah, I mean, it just says Rogue Squadron. That can mean anything, right?
And it could be Old Wedge in it. He could be in it. Or you could even go further beyond and then, a new thing has happened. Like, we need the old Rogue Squadrons back. And then Dead Snap comes back from the grave. And that'll be great. Number
2, runner-up.
The runner-up, I believe it was number 1 last year, but it is number 2 this year. It is Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. I think I love Return of the Jedi. It's my favorite of the original movies. Probably, whatever. But here's the one thing going against Return of the Jedi now, though, is the sequels, because it doesn't actually end. You find out that doesn't matter anymore. Things happen, and you can't regret. So I think that's the only thing going against it. I love it. I love Ewoks. I don't have to tell anybody how I feel about Ewoks. We all know. Lando's awesome. Vader, Luke, Emperor, all that stuff. Andrew. Brock, you want to go? Andrew's internet's frozen.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe you didn't mention Jabba's palace. Yeah, no, it just
I can't mention everything.
Most fun, the most diverse. So Return of the Jedi is just my go-to. I love it. Ewoks, amazing. Yeah, but if it's gonna lose out to anything, Empire makes the most sense.
I didn't say Empire was number 1. Empire was number 1 on most lists. It was low on a few, but it was number 1 on most. Andrew is frozen, so he can't chime in right now.
This is probably the spot where I would put, or where I would guess Jedi is. Where did I think I put it number 4. Did I put it number 4? Yeah, I put it number 4.
It used to be your number 1.
It used to be, yeah. This is 4 is the lowest I've ever put it. But I guess when I was rewatching this year, I was like, yeah, 4 is a good spot for it. Number 2, I think, is where we all expected it to be. I mean, this top 2 has never been surprising. And I think as wacky as these lists have been this year, I'm still waiting for that year when the top 2 surprises me.
I honestly, I will tell you, if I stopped after 10, it would have been probably a different 1-2 punch.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but hey, it deserves to be here. It's got Jabba. It's got Bib Fortuna. It's got Tebow. What else do you want? No Emperor, though, so loses points.
Bib Fortuna, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Best death in Star Wars. Best death in Star Wars. Even Erin knew who that was when she watched The Mandalorian. She's like, oh! I was like, yeah.
I like he had like a scepter.
Yeah. It was made out of Beskar.
Yeah.
Do you think, Brock, if they made a Mandalorian movie, it would break the top 2?
Yep. those episodes feel like movies. I actually started rewatching Mandalorian this morning, and then I was like, "Oh right, the first episode's really long."
The first two are pretty long, and then they get really
Yeah.
short, and then the last episode is like, I think it was 47 minutes.
Yeah.
I think is what it said. I because you guys know I like my episodes short, but because I took a vacation day, I didn't even look at the time of that episode, and when it ended, I was like, I don't know how long that was. It just felt perfect. It just felt like it didn't linger, and it wasn't cut too short. I was like, I obviously wanted more, but in like a good way. And then it gave you more. All right, number one. You guys ready to be surprised?
I'm ready, but I don't think I will be.
The holiday special.
Caravan of Courage.
Caravan
an
of
Ewok
Courage.
adventure.
Actually, 2 people did give me a list with Caravan of Courage on it at number, and all of them, I believe it was number 3. So number 1 is The Empire Strikes Back. It's a great movie. It has some of the best moments in Star Wars by far. And I'm talking about Han frozen in carbonite at the end is one of the greatest. I am your father, clearly. And Hoth is such an iconic sequence. Brock.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
It's good. It's good.
It's what like the Last Jedi is trying to replicate, like this sort of movie where like there isn't a winner at the end. It's sort of a bummer. There's desperation. There's just evil overcomes, but then there's still this like glimmer of hope, which makes you want to go watch another one. I guess Last Jedi tries to do that in its own way, but yeah, it's perfect. It's historically important in film as a look. The good guys didn't win at the end. You're like, what? And then people walking out of the theaters being like, right?
Imagine if they didn't make Return of the Jedi after. It's like, well, that sucked.
It'd be like Leonard part 5. It's like we're part 6. Where were the other 5 parts? Cosby.
Andrew.
Empire Strikes Back. Oh boy, I just yesterday, in fact, I finally got to read those comics, the new Star Wars comic series from Marvel that takes place right after Empire. Because my local comic store has been just horrible with keeping up with like 2 months after that trade came out, I called them like, do you have the trade? They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, fine. So I got it from Indigo, and I finally got to read it. And they did this really cool sort of emotional thing with Luke that we don't really get to see too much of in this movie, of just how it felt for him to find out that news at the end. Have you read these comics, Brock?
Yeah, like the first 4 or 5, and then I stopped buying comics because I'm trying to save money.
Yeah, that's where I am too. I'm on like number 5 or something, and he's just like, the look on Luke's face where he's so hurt by this news. And I'm just like, God, this is beautiful. I wish this was in the movie. And as much as these original 3, we give them all this credit and we love them so much. There's so much still that they could have done, and I'm so happy that Star Wars is telling those stories, even if it's in other formats. Yeah. But I love me some Empire. I always will love Empire. And if something's got to be at the top, I don't mind it being this. Mm-hmm. It's almost as good as Attack of the Clones.
Oh, I wouldn't mind any of these 11 movies being number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 11. They are all Star Wars. And you know what? Is it Leslie Headland? Mm-hmm. She's doing The Acolyte, which is, for me, the most... I'm very excited about the Filoni Favreau stuff, but this show, I don't know what it is, but it's about a villain. You guys know I love my villains. I'm very excited about this. She said, I believe it's at the Rise of Skywalker premiere a year ago, that she doesn't have a favorite movie because they aren't movies. It's just Star Wars to her. And that makes me feel like that show is in very good hands. And if that is the mentality of everybody making Star Wars going forward, we're in for a good time, and these lists will get longer, and more definitive, but more divisive. As time goes on, we will get to keep continuing to argue over time. But it is fun. I mean, yeah, 1 and 2 never changes, which is kind of... I think 3's been Rogue One, too. I could be wrong there. But 1 and 2 never seem to change. But I'm very excited to see, next year, again, a year with no Star Wars, and the year following, where will these rankings line us up at those points? And then when we get a new Star Wars, how that will affect things as well. That's what I like seeing. So it's a lot of fun. Brock, any thoughts on this definitive list that we've put together?
I'm glad that there was a lot of mix-up. It was fun. It's just like, you don't want it to be predictable. It's cool that there's so many people that we've met along the way of this podcast that are joining in. It's like, thank you to all of them contributing. And yeah, I'm glad we were able to do again this year.
Andrew?
Yeah, I love just the excitement that comes with these lists, even though they're so hard to make. And every time you say, give me a list, I'm like, yeah.
It's coming.
Mine took 30 seconds, Andrew.
Brock's was Caravan of Courage, Droids Cartoon, Episode 4. I was like, this doesn't count. He's like, use it.
As soon as you ask for the list, Brock is like, how do you spell Sindel?
Operation Sindel.
Oh, she would have been so much better if she was Phasma. JJ ruined my childhood. Or was it Ryan Johnson? One of them ruined my childhood. I'm not sure which one anymore. It's probably Phasma.
Yeah, one of them.
It's Filoni.
Probably both.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what people put as their specific rankings. Like, I can't wait to talk to the individual people. But you're right, Brock. Like, we met so many cool people. Girls with Sabers, Force Toast, Rebel Watch. There's just so many people that it's so exciting to get to know them and get to hear their Star Wars stories and their love. Because at the end of the day, love is the answer. We're just loving this. That's why this is a list of love.
Yeah, and as much as it sucks... Sorry, Andrew, go on.
No, that's pretty much it. Like, it's a list of love, and I loved hearing everybody's love.
And as much as it sucks that Solo is last, something has to be last, and it gives us something extra to talk about. And maybe next year, people will remember that Solo was last, and they'll have it a little bit higher on their list, which will knock Attack of the Clones right back down to the...
It's okay. All the other ones at the bottom need to be in good company. So Attack of the Clones is there. Attack of the Clones is like the cool person at a party who hangs out with the nerds to be like, look.
It's offering the death sticks.
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot of fun. Again, the reason why we get as many people as we can and combine the list is because there is no real ranking of Star Wars. It's just a lot of fun. We love all the movies, and it's just something we like to do to ring in the new year on a very negative note with everybody. So give us your list in the comments down below. All right, that's going to wrap it up. I'm going to go enjoy a hangover shake because it's New Year's Day. And sit back, relax, and maybe I'll put on some Star Wars. Which one, we don't know just yet. But he's Andrew, he's Brock, I'm James, and the guy in the red was always Scum.
Rebel Scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.